This isn't exactly politically correct, but a man was driving and he got a flat tire outside an insane asylum. And he knew he had to get out and change it, so as he got out, he noticed there was an inmate standing at the fence watching him. The inmate didn't say anything, so he continued changing the tire, took the bolts, the 4 bolts off the tire, and set them in the hubcap beside him. He got the tire off, put the new one on, and just as they stood up to get the bolts, he knocked the hubcap and they rolled off down a sewer drain. And he stood there for a minute thinking, oh goodness, now what do I do? Well, that's when the inmate spoke, and he said, sir, why don't you take 1 bolt from each tire? That way you have 3 bolts on all tires. Your car is fine. You'll be able to get out of here. And the man looked at the inmate with surprise, and he said, oh, how did you know that? And the inmate looked at him. He said, well, I may be crazy, but I'm not stupid. I have 2 diagnoses, and neither of them are official. Well, perhaps the second one would be more official. Depends on who you're talking to. Some doctors say that it's a neurological problem, which encompasses neuropathy and symptoms very similar to multiple sclerosis. However, I don't have that diagnosis because I don't have the lesions. So my neurologist believes that it's psychological, totally psychological, and that what I need is a good psychiatrist. So the plan is that I will be seeing a psychiatrist in the hopes of working through the mental block that is causing all these symptoms and start to improve.
Because my mom's always been a workaholic. She was a funeral director. She worked constantly, and she's always been a very strong, very capable person. So when she started going downhill and had to quit, like, I can't imagine the transition for her, but for us it was just odd because my mom's always been go, 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 go.
I was married. I had 2 children. My oldest daughter is normal, and my second daughter with special needs. Now, she was well into her 30s before we realized that she did have a condition called Coffin-Lowry syndrome.
When I was growing up with Laura, I don't think I realized that she was special needs until we got older, because she's not as advanced as Tasha. And then when my mom and dad took Tasha on, I thought that was pretty brave because they'd already raised their children and now they're going back.
Laura was 19 when she had Tasha, and I was heavily involved because Children's Aid Society was monitoring the situation. The Children's Aid Society called me one day and said, we're taking the baby. So I ended up taking her, what I thought would be for a very short period of time, 2 weeks at the most. That was 15 years ago. Tasha grew on me very quickly. She was a very sick little person, as was her mom, and she was very needy. And often with special needs babies, they do require your full attention. There's love there, love being not just a feeling, but a choice. It's an act of the will. And with that love that you feel towards that baby and the responsibility, no, you couldn't just say, all right, this child's going up for adoption. It wasn't that simple. I was too attached. It's been a year of monumental change. In March, I woke up in the night in fairly severe pain, thinking it was probably a gallbladder attack, and thinking, oh great, this means I'm going to get Tasha up for a few days till I get my feet under me again. And it didn't happen that way. I realized that I had to get some answers. 5 trips to emerge over the course of a month, and I wasn't getting any answers except, well, you need further treatment, you need better care than we can give you here. But life for Tasha and I both declined.
I go visit her at the hospital, and she calls me. I just come and visit her.
The end result was, and it was a planned, well-timed, perhaps for Tasha, but not for me, chance for her to get into her family home program.
When I was first approached with the family home program, that was when we started to realize Mom's health was getting worse. I think it took me almost a year to finally I just jumped in with both feet. Tasha loved it. I mean, she loved hanging out with us. She loves being with the kids. So she was so busy that I don't think she had time to realize that she wasn't with Mom anymore.
Tasha was more than ready, and when my daughter gave her permission to move over, she got every plastic bag in the house and packed everything she had, including taking pictures off the wall and whatever thought she owned, she had piled by the door and stood and waited for them to come and get her. I don't think I expected it to be that way, But there was some joy in knowing that she was ready to make that move. There was also the sadness of knowing that I could no longer do stairs. I could no longer stay in my apartment. I could no longer have my birds. And I was losing my daughter. And that all happened within a week. That's a lot of change.
The whole thing is what's best for Tash. And unfortunately, Mom wasn't able to care for her the same way that she used to be able to.
I miss Mom.
I said earlier that love is a choice. It's an act of the will. My life's a bit empty right now. I don't have anyone to care for, and I don't know anything else. I should be very grateful. I have freedom now. I can go where I want to go, when I want to go. I can sleep in when I want. I can eat when I want. And I will adjust. But it's very empty without Tasha. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and this is all a dream and I can really go back to the way it was. But and being cared for, it's always better to give than receive. Always.